In this video, we're going to have a look at how you can use the standard query loop within Bricks to create your own shop layout. So here I have my products. I can navigate to the various categories. Let's go clothing. If we go music, there are only two products and they line up nicely in the center. And when you hover over a product, this just a little box shadow appears to show the product you're on. I'm going to head back to the shop, and then what I'm going to do is just show you how the add to cart works. So we click on add to cart and you'll see that the cart is updated and also the free shipping. So that's just an indication that the Ajax is working. If I add the sunglasses to the cart, you'll see that we exceed the $60 and we get the free shipping. If I remove the sunglasses, then right, so the Ajax is working, and here you can see the standard add to cart with the view cart link that appears after adding to cart. So if I click on the view cart, I should now go to the cart. There we're on the cart window. I'm going to head back to the shop. And what happens then is if we have a product here which is not a simple add to cart, like here we have a logo collection which is several products. What you'll see then is the view product. And then the other thing that we have is we have some pagination here. So we go to page 2 and there is no page 3. I'm not sure why that came up. And then over here where we have the hoodie, we have the select options. Right, so you can only add products to the shop that can be added to the shop. So I'm going to show you now how to create all this, put it all together, and then you can have your own shop building using the query loop within Bricks. So that's the query loop. So to get started then, what I'm going to do is just remove this section. And then I'm going to remove the top section. Now you'll remember that in a previous video, this is normally displayed using the standard loop within WordPress. So this is, but this is not the focus of what we're going to do. Instead of going with this version, we're now going to build our own using the query. So what I can do here is simply delete that section. Right, so there we are on a blank page, and I'm going to delete that section as well. Right, so here we are on the blank page, and we're going to start building our own product. Right, so let's add a section, and in that section, we're just going to have one container, and in that container, then we're going to set that up as the query loop. So we head over to the left here, change that to query loop, and that's all that we're going to do at the moment. The next thing we want to do is just check that we have some content coming through. Now this template, I've already set the settings up. So the settings, because it's going to be for archives, I've set up the condition that it's a post type, all archives, and it's for products. Right, so that is set up then to work, and now what I'm going to do is just add some content to see what we're dealing with. So the first thing I'll do then is add a title. So we'll do a product title, and let's just have a look and see. And okay, so there we have the products coming through. Now you'll see that we have this Hello World post, and the reason that's showing is because in the container, when I go to the query, and I haven't made any changes here, I haven't specified in here what the post type is. So if I was to change that to products, then we'll only have the products. Now, it shouldn't really matter because we're hooking into the default loop from WooCommerce, which is running on this page by default. So we don't really need to specify that. Here in the admin area, it might come up with an issue, but on the front end, we're not going to see any standard posts. Right, so I have the post title, and that's quite big, so I'll change that to an H2, and then what we'll just change that typography then, let's change that to say 30 pixels, and we'll see how that goes with the rest of the styling. The next thing I want to do is add an image. So let's have a look at an image. So we want to add a product image. So we're just going to go, the product image is also the featured image of the post. So when it comes to the image, and we go to content, image, now we can select dynamic data for the image. So I'm going to head over there and just look for the post image. There it is there. So we have a featured image there. And let's just have a look then under the product section and see if there's anything special for the product image. So under product, price description, stock rating, sale, no. So let's just go then with featured image. That'll be fine. And that should then, there we go. There are images pulling through, and that's quite big. I'm not sure that we'll need it that size. There is a chance we might get away with a 300 by 300 in this case. But we'll have a look and see. The next thing we need to do is add a product price. So let's add a product price. Right, so there we have the product price. And the next item we want to add is the add to cart. So let's do, I'll just put cart. And this will be where the first snag appears, because when we do the add to cart button, it actually pulls in the add to cart button from the product single page. And we don't want that button because we want the Ajax functionality in the archive. So what we're going to do is write some code to pull that in. Before I do that though, I just want to get the layout looking a bit better. So we're not going to use this default add to cart button. Here I have the container. So what I'm going to do now is just set up the grid and the layout for the grid. So we're going to go with a section, and then we have the container. So the section we do want to wrap, so we need to set that to wrap, and now you'll immediately see that the items are wrapped. What I'm also going to do is just head over to the individual container, and I'm going to change that width of that layout then to 25%, because I'd like to get 4 products next to each other. That's looking really massive on the page. So what I want to do is change this container width. So I want to, this section, I want to change that to a width of 1/100 pixels maximum, and then the max width, or the maximum width, we're going to set the width to 100% and the maximum width to 1100. That just means that on smaller screens, the content will then narrow down to fit. The next thing I'm going to do is set some spacing. So I'm going to head back to the container where the loop is, and if I go into the query, you'll see there's nothing there to set any spacing. But if I scroll down, you'll see we have these column gaps and the row gap. So we can set the column gap and we can set a row gap, but they don't always work. And the recommendation here is to use margins instead of the gap. So what we'll do is I'm going to remove those, and then we'll head over to the style. And for this container, then we're going to add some spacing. So margin at the bottom, let's set that to 40. And then to the left and right, we'll go 10 and 10. Right, so there we have our, it's all coming together. And if the width is now not working, just drop that percentage until we get one that works, taking those margins into consideration. So, right, there we have it. And what I also want to do is move the image to the top, and then the product title. Product title still looking a little bit big, so I'm going to just go over to typography there, and let's change that to 20, and that's looking better. I want to center everything, so we can do that better if on the container level we should be able to just center the content. That's great. What I also want to do is make sure that each container, all the containers are the same height. So I'll say align axis, and I'll just stretch it so that they are stretched. And then the individual content in the container, We can leave that for now. And right, so the next thing to do then is have a look at that on the website. So I've saved that on the website, and let's see what we've got. So there we have our product and the grid coming together. Next thing that I want to do is maybe just add that border with the hover effect. So over to the container, and we'll go to style. Let's go down to border box shadow. So the border we know will be a solid. It's going to be the width will be 1 pixel all round. So we'll make that 1 pixel all round, and we can leave it at the default color. That looks good. And then we're going to give it a border radius of 5 pixels, and we'll make that 5 pixels all round. So there we have the layout. That's looking good. What we want to do is add that hover effect. So to do that, here in the top row, we have the pseudo classes states button. We'll click on that, head over to this drop down, select hover, and now we just go to box shadow, and we can set up the way we want it. So I like to go 0, 5, and then 10 on the blur. And then we need to set a color. So the color will set to black, but we also want it to be a little bit lighter. So we can go with a color if we want to do that in that way, or move it all the way to black, and then using this transparency, we can just make it transparent just a little bit lighter. So something like that. And the reason why I like to put the 0 in the first one is that just gives the illusion that the item is coming off the page a little bit better. And once we're done, we can disable that pseudo class, save, head over to the website, and now we have the hover effect working very nicely. Right, so what I'm going to do now is add the button, and to add the button we need to add some code. So under the product price, we'll click add, look for code, and we'll add the code. Right, now I don't have the code yet, so what I'm going to do though in the meantime is I'm going to then just show you the code that we're going to use, and it comprises of 2 parts. So the first part looks at the Ajax portion, and the second part looks at everything that's not with Ajax. If I was just to use this particular piece of code, it would work, but the add to cart then is not an Ajax function, and we wanted to add to cart without reloading the page. So if we just have a look at that code, you'll see that the first thing that we're going to do is access this global product variable. Then what we're going to do is access some of the information contained in that. So the first thing we're going to do is check is if the product is type simple. So we only want to apply this to simple products because simple products can be added to the cart immediately. The next thing we need to do is create the URL, and these are the standard options to make them work within WooCommerce. So this is just something that you have to learn. This is what works. So the first thing then to do in the link, so the link is going to be the product, and we set it to the add to cart URL. The next thing that we do is we put in the value, which is the product ID. The next is the class, and the class will ensure that the Ajax is executed. So we have the Ajax add to cart, then we have the add to cart button, then we have button, and then we have this product type simple. Now the product type simple in the code here then just allows us to identify buttons for the simple product type if we want to change the class on that particular button look. The next thing that we have then is the data product ID, and that is get the ID of the product. So that's what's needed then for Ajax to work. And then also when the Ajax function is executed, it then passes the ID, and the add to cart then adds the right product when we click on add to cart. So that's what that does. Here we also have then the product SKU, and then we have this label for the cart, which is add XYZ to your cart. So we just insert that href tag as it is. We then have the button text add to cart, and then we close off that ahref for the button. Then if it's not a simple product, then what we do is we execute this part of the function, and this one works a little bit differently. And you'll see here that in this case, it's applying a filter, and it's applying a filter to the WooCommerce loop add to cart link. And basically what it's doing is it's intercepting the information about the button. It's then being changed according to this information, and then it's being sent back out to the button. And basically what we're doing, and you'll see it's using the sprintf, and the way that that works is it works then in conjunction with these values. So you'll see we have these %s signs, and you'll see that each one correlates then to a row of code here. So the first one says the ahref, so what's the link? And you'll see add to cart URL, and you'll see that that was the same as up there. The next one says data product ID, and you would have remembered that at the top we also have the data product ID. There's the data product ID. And basically what this does then is it creates the ahref link, but then it just substitutes first item, second item, third item, fourth item, fifth item, sixth item. And you'll see that there are 6 of these %s references in the code above. So that's pretty much how that works. So quite simple. And then it returns that information to the product variable. And that's why when it outputs on the page, we have the different values for the button. And that's over and above the button that we've specified here with the add to cart, because we've said for the simple, don't use this, rather use our Ajax information over here. So, right, let's just then have a look at how to implement this. So to implement this, we're just going to go to the function by add to cart, and we copy that function name. We're going to head over to bricks, and now where we have this code, all we're going to do now is open up some PHP, close it, and all we need to do now is paste in the function name with the open close bracket and click on this button here to execute the code. And you'll see now that if I don't even have to refresh, and the code is being executed. What you'll notice now though is that the button here is right up here, and we'd like it to be in the same position across the bottom for all the products. So to do that, what I'm going to do now is group the top 3 products in a div and then have the code below. The other reason for doing that then is that I can apply a link to that div, so that anywhere I click on the image, the title, or the price will link me through to the product. So I'll head over to container, add, we'll add the div. I'm going to move this to the top, and then quite easily just drag the image, the product title, and the price into that div. Then I'm going to click on the div, and here I'm going to change the HTML tag to a link, and the link type is going to be it'll link to a post or a page, and we don't want to post to page. We want that link to be linking through to let's see, dynamic data, and dynamic data should just be the post link right at the top. So we link that through to the post link, and I'm not going to add anything else, and we're going to save that. And then what I'm going to do is move the items around so that the button for add to cart is right at the bottom. So to do that, I just close that. So you can see that in this container we have the div and the code. And if I head over here to the align main axis, I just push that to the bottom and I save. Now when I head over to the website and I refresh, you will see that that button has been pushed to the bottom. Now, just one other thing that I need to show you is when you initially do this, the button isn't going to be the full width of 100%. So to do that, what I've done is I've selected the button, and with that, I've then just added some code to make the width 100%.
And you'll have to do that then for the logo collection, because that is a different type of button. So you'll see there's the for the group product. And then I also did one here, which is for the external product. I've done the same thing. So to see what that looks like here in the customize, you'll see we just select that and we find the selectors for those buttons, and we just set the width to 100%. So this could in fact be simplified as well, because you'll see here that we have this product type. So what I can do is remove everything. So we just have a button product type external, product type group, and then a product type simple. So we have the product type simple, product type group, and then product type external. We just set that width to 100% and publish. We'll close that. Right, and then we have a good looking product list. We want to move these central elements to the middle. So that's that was reset when we changed the container to a link away from a div. So we're on the container at the moment still. We've set align the cross access to center, but it's not aligning to center. So we'll just head over to that div, and what we can do now, because this is now a link, I'm going to go to style, and I'll just go to typography here and center, and that'll center the items. We'll save, head back to the website, refresh, and there we have a pretty good looking product grid where we hover. And right, so let's make sure everything's working still. So I'm going to remove that item. So in a previous video, we did the Ajax, check if you get free shipping. So let's add to cart, and you'll see that the value changed. Add to cart, the value changed again. And then I'll just do a add to cart on the hoodie with zipper. That's working. And if I click on view products, I head through to logo collection or buy on the WordPress swag store, and it takes me through to the WordPress swag store. So everything is working as it should. The other thing that I need to do though is add some pagination here, because obviously there are more products than what we see here. So to do that, head back to the website, and then in the section here, I'm going to add, and I'm just going to click there on products pagination. And there we have the products pagination added, and you'll see, let's save that, and let's just have a look and see where that appears. So we've added that, and now it's just popped in here because of the flex styling. So we want that to appear at the bottom. So to do that, what I'm going to do then is just add and in this case, I can just see if we can add a container and then drop that into the container. And if I go and just check what my options are available in products pagination, you'll see there is an option to center. So we'll just set that and see if that works. Right, and that does work. So let's see if the pagination is working. Yes, the pagination is working, and immediately here you see these options. The buttons don't stretch the full width. So if we inspect that, we'll see that they are the button and its product type variable. Head over to customize and additional CSS, and then as we did before, comma, dot, button, product type variable, and you'll see immediately the style is applied. And there we have everything working. So page number 3, and I'm not sure why we picking up 3 pages. Obviously the way that this pagination is set up, it does that.
So I'm not 100% sure why it would see it as 3 pages. Let's have a look here at clothing. Here we are on clothing. So we're just seeing clothing items, shows us 2 pages. Right, so that's working fine. And let's just have a look at something which probably won't have pagination, like music, and the pagination doesn't show. The next thing that we want to do is add the title of the page we're looking at. I'm going to head back to my shop here, and right at the top I'm going to add a new section. So let's add a section, and then in that container we will add the title. So add, and we'll add a post title. And then for the main products page, we could leave it so it just shows as products. So let's, this container then, we can just centralize the items and of course add some padding. And let's go to style, layout, and the padding. We could just make that 20 all round, save. Back to the website, and now what's nice is when we're on the shop page, we see products. When we go to music, we see music. Clothing is clothing. Decor is decor. Right, so we have a working shop. It's adding the products to our cart, and it's working here with the code to check if we've added, whether we qualify for free shipping or not. Right. The final step then in setting up our shop would be to check the mobile view. So we'll inspect here, and of course we can see the mobile view here, and we'll see that we need to make some adjustments. And also what we can do is inside bricks, we can also choose the mobile view, and we can see we need to make some adjustments. So nothing too serious, and we just need to then decide on which breakpoint to make the change. So standard view is fine. Tablet portrait. What we can do here, let's just check how things are set up. So in this section, we can align to the middle. So then on the right, so that's how it would look then on the tablet view. Then we can go to the mobile landscape, and mobile landscape, yeah, maybe what we can do there is change this then to the width here. Something wider like that to 30%. And then let's have a look at the individual mobile view. And here what we'll do is we'll just change this container to 100%, so that we get the product, the full width of the container. Right, let's save that. Then head over to the website and refresh. And there we have our products now in the landscape view. And that's looking fine. Pagination, that's looking fine. Now you'll notice that the image, maybe the image size now is a little bit small because it's kind of filling the central space. And if we look here, we see the same effect. So what we need to do then is in the div where we have the information contained is set that width to 100% as well. And now, of course, the image is slightly too small. So the image size now we would need to change. So we'll change that to, we've set thumbnail. So we need to then maybe go to large. Let's save that and see what we have. Right, so now the image fits very nicely. So there we have our product lineup when looking at the archive view. And then we also know that it's working in that view. If I head back down here, turn sideways, and I scroll down, then we still have the products looking good. So that's then just the final tweak to set it up to make sure that it's mobile friendly. Right, well then that wraps up the video, and yeah, I'd just like to say thank you for watching.